This video, I'm going through Metro Vancouver's 2026 completion wave, and more importantly, how a home buyer or a home seller should think about it. Because this is the polarizing truth. Most buyers pick an area based on vibes, a granite countertop, and what their friend told them. Then they wonder why their resale sucks, their commute's brutal, and their building feels dated 2 years later. So let's do this properly. So I'll start with why completions matter more than headlines. Here's the simplest way to think about it. When a major project finishes, it does one of two things to an area. It creates gravity or it creates pressure. Gravity is when a place becomes more desirable because life becomes easier. Better transit, better amenities, better public space, better healthcare access, better retail, better entertainment. And pressure is when an area gets more competition, more congestion, more supply, or the wrong kind of change for the type of buyer living there. And you need to know the difference before you buy. So I'm going to break this down into buckets. Then I'll give you a simple buyer checklist at the end of this that helps you pick a pocket without guessing. Also, I'm putting the full list in the description for you to reference. Now let's talk about the biggest gravity shifts first. Number one is Oakridge is becoming its own mini city. If you've been ignoring Oakridge because it's always under construction, that's exactly why people are about to get caught off guard. Oakridge Park is expected to open in spring 2026, and this is not just a mall, it's a full retail dining district, plus a rooftop public park, plus major density around it. And the part buyers miss is this. When a destination retail hub finishes, it changes where people spend time. It changes traffic flow, it changes what feels central, and it changes what feels convenient. Oakridge also comes with an expansion of Oakridge 41st Station, expected to complete in summer 2026. That matters because station upgrades are demand multipliers. More capacity, better access, and easier movement means more people can actually use that node. Then you've got Oakridge Civic Centre completing later in 2026, which bundles community center, senior center, major library branch, performance and event spaces, childcare, and a social housing tower. So if you're a buyer looking at anything around Cambie, Oakridge, Langara, even pockets of Marpole, you need to stop thinking in street names and start thinking in nodes. Nodes are where demand consolidates over time. Now, does that mean buying anything near Oakridge is smart? No, because Oakridge also creates pressure in certain product types. More density means more competition. More towers means more future listings. More traffic means some side streets get worse, and some buildings that used to feel quiet start to feel busy. So the question becomes what type of property benefits from this and what gets pressured. Condos that are walkable to the node in well-run buildings with a floor plan that will still be competitive in 5 years, those tend to benefit. Old product with bad layouts, low light, awkward strata, or buildings that will feel inferior once shiny new inventory opens nearby, that's where people get trapped. That's why I always suggest buyers need to stop buying based on today and start buying based on what's next. Number two, we're going to talk about how healthcare infrastructure changes demand patterns. This one is underrated, but it matters. Major healthcare projects finishing in 2026 include Royal Columbian's Jim Pattison Acute Care Tower in New Westminster, Burnaby Hospital Phase 1 Patient Care Pavilion, new St. Paul's Hospital completing in 2026 with patient opening expected in 2027, plus projects tied to medical accommodation like Dunay's House of Healing Tower near Broadway in Birch, which is pivoting into indigenous medical accommodations. Here's why that matters for housing. Hospitals create jobs, stability, and constant demand for rentals. They also create a predictable pattern of nearby housing demand because healthcare workers do not stop existing when the market slows down. So areas around these hubs often develop stronger rental floors over time, and certain products near them become more liquid. But there's also a pressure side. More healthcare activity can mean more traffic, more strain on parking, and more intensity. So for buyers, the question isn't, is this hospital good? The question is, do I want to live in a high intensity hub, or do I want to live close enough to benefit without living in the chaos? That's the positioning play. Number three, we're going to talk about transit and crossings actually changing people's lives. If you've lived here long enough, you know this region is basically built around choke points, bridges, highways, and station nodes. So that's why the new Pattullo Bridge full traffic switch in February 2026 matters. That bridge is not just a cool new bridge, it changes reliability, safety, and flow between Surrey and New Westminster. Then you got Burnaby Highway 1 pedestrian and cycling bridge opening in early 2026, linking trail networks that were previously separated by the freeway. That might sound small, but active transportation connections change livability, and livability is what families pay for. Now, will these instantly spike prices? Not necessarily overnight, but they start to shift the long game. They shift commute confidence, they shift which pockets feel more practical, and long-term practical always wins over hype. Now let's talk about the elephant, rental supply. Big rental deliveries in 2026 include the Sinnock Phase 1, over 1,400 rental homes completing with leasing expected in the summer, Cascades near Marine Drive, roughly 575 rental homes in 2 towers, King George Hub suburbs, Tether Tower in Surrey, 400 plus rental units targeted for fall 2026. W42 near Oakridge, completing another tower in spring 2026, bringing a total of 430 secured rental units. Joyce 2 already completed end of 2025 and is leasing with the secured rental agreement enacted in January 2026. And here's the polarizing truth. If you own a rental property or you're buying a condo and counting on easy tenant demand, you need to respect supply. More rental supply can flatten rent growth in specific nodes. It can increase competition for tenants. It can force landlords to offer incentives, and it can also shift the renter demographic and expectations because new buildings raise the bar. For buyers who plan to rent their place out later, you don't want to buy a mediocre rental product in a node that is about to get flooded with brand new rental inventory. That's how you end up with a unit that sits or cash flows badly or needs price cuts to lease. But here's another side. Rental supply can also improve the neighborhood. More residents means more retail demand, more retail follows, more services follow, and the area becomes more complete. So again, it's not rental supply is good or rental supply is bad. It's location plus product type. For Burnaby and Coquitlam, the tower clusters keep growing on the ownership side. You've got major condo completions like Nouveau and Perla near Metrotown, Myriad and Burquitlam, a big 50-story tower, plus the region's skyline story with Concord, Metrotown's Grand Tower rising. It's expected to become the tallest in the region during 2026, even if the full completion of those towers is expected in early 2027. Here's what buyers need to hear. Tower clusters create liquidity. When an area becomes a recognized high-rise node, buyers and renters understand it. It becomes easy to sell because the story is clear: transit, amenities, density, convenience. But tower clusters also create price and competition. So if you're a buyer in a tower cluster, you need to buy the unit that will still win when there are 10 other options on the market. That usually means good layout, good light, practical square footage, reasonable strata, in a building with a strong reputation, not the cheapest unit with the worst layout that you convince yourself you can make work. That's how you get stuck later. Next, we're going to talk about community centers and quality of life upgrades. This is where families should pay attention. Harry Jerome Community Recreation Center in North Van is a massive facility. Steveston Community Center in Richmond is replacing an older facility with a much bigger one. Marpole Community Center in Vancouver is replacing a 1949 facility and adding gym, community spaces, childcare. Freedom Mobile Arch at the PNE is a major entertainment venue completing late spring 2026 and tied into FIFA Fan Festival usage. And again, these projects matter because they improve how a neighborhood feels day to day. And the neighborhoods that feel easiest to live in tend to outperform because people stay longer and buyers compete harder to get in. So I'm going to go over my 2026 first-time buyer checklist just to make this more useful. If you're a first-time buyer in 2026, here's a checklist that keeps you from making the classic mistake of buying based on today. Number 1 is buy the node, not the neighborhood name. Stop saying, I want Vancouver, or I want Burnaby, or I want Surrey. That's lazy. Pick a node, a station area, a retail gravity zone, a hospital hub, a bridge corridor. Nodes create long-term demand. Number 2 is ask, is this project creating gravity or pressure? Gravity means better lifestyle, better access, better services. Pressure means more competition, congestion, or supply risk. Both can exist at the same time, so you need to decide which side you're on. Number 3, if you're buying a condo, your layout matters more than the finishes. Finishes are very easy to copy, however, a layout is permanent. If your floor plan is weird, resale becomes hard when new inventory lands nearby. Number 4 is respect new rental supply. If 1,000 plus rentals are about to lease near you, understand what that means for rent competition and renter expectations. If multiple condo towers are completing in the same node, understand what that means for resale competition. Number 5 is position yourself for the next buyer. You're not buying for you today, you're buying for the person who will buy it from you later. That's how you stay safe and build equity. So to wrap things up, 2026 is a huge completion year, and most people will ignore it because it's easier to scroll the headlines than understand what physical change does to demand. But if you actually want to win as a buyer, you don't want to buy based on hype, you want to buy based on positioning, and infrastructure is positioning. If you want my take on which areas benefit most from this 2026 completion wave, comment 2026 and I'll tell you which pockets I'd be watching. And if you're a first-time home buyer and you want a game plan for your move, just shoot me a text at 604-288-7592. Just text me buyer and I'll text you the steps I would follow. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.